It all started with a voice no taller than a kitchen chair. "Mom, who's the uncle you always laugh with when Dad is away?" That sentence dropped like a piano in a quiet room, innocent, curious, and devastating. I wasn't even in the room when my daughter, Emily, asked it. I was in the garage, trying to replace a brake light on my Civic and muttering about how car manufacturers must secretly hate human hands. My wife, Lauren, was inside, folding laundry while Emily played with her dolls. Or so I thought. I didn't hear the actual question. I heard the pause that came after. You know, the kind where silence says more than a scream ever could. And right there, my gut did something it doesn't usually do. It twisted. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to know when something's off. You just need to be a husband long enough to learn that a wife not answering a child's question is a bigger red flag than any lipstick on a collar. I finished the brake light and walked in, wiping grease off my fingers. Lauren smiled, that smile she keeps for moments when she wants to look calm but knows she's cornered by life or, in this case, a tiny truth-teller in a princess hoodie. "Hey," she said, "way too cheerful. Dinner soon." Emily ran over to hug me, business as usual. But my brain was running back the clock, trying to recall if I'd ever heard this laugh. The one reserved for mystery uncles. Apparently, I hadn't been invited to that particular comedy show. That night I lay in bed, pretending to scroll on my phone, while my mind clicked into a gear it hadn't used since college calculus. Something didn't add up. And not in the "you'll let it go" kind of way. In the "this needs solving before it spreads" kind of way. So I did what any man with a quiet suspicion and a curious mind would do. I waited. I watched. I played dumb. Because sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is pretend you're stupid. Patience has never been my strong suit. I'm the kind of guy who microwaves coffee and watches the numbers count down like it's a hostage negotiation. But when your daughter accidentally drops a grenade into your marriage, you learn to sit real still and wait for the smoke to show you where the fire is. I started with subtle changes. Moved my gym bag closer to the front door instead of the garage. Adjusted my work hours so I'd forget something and come back mid-morning. Installed a motion sensor camera in the hallway under the excuse of home security after Emily had a nightmare. Bought a separate phone. I wasn't trying to catch a criminal. I was trying to catch a wife. There's a difference. Criminals hide. Cheaters lie in plain sight and smile while they do it. It didn't take long. On Tuesday afternoon, I doubled back home around 1:30, told Lauren I left a USB stick I needed. She didn't expect me. That much was clear when I opened the door and she jumped like a Netflix pause button. She had a different shirt on than this morning. One of those soft, just lounging types she usually saves for spa days or emotional manipulation. Her phone? Face down on the table. I walked in like I didn't notice any of that. Grabbed the fake USB I planted in the drawer yesterday, kissed Emily on the head, and left again. Calm. Collected. Smiling. That night, while she was in the shower, I checked the hallway cam. A man had been in the house between 12:48 and 1:17. He walked in like he knew where to go. No doorbell. No knock. Just a key and confidence. Two things I apparently didn't have anymore. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. You'd think I'd be angry, but what I felt was surgical. Cold. Like a chess player who just saw the opening move of a long, deliberate trap. His face wasn't clear, but I saw enough. Slim build. Baseball cap. Looked younger than me. That's when it hit me. This guy wasn't an accident. He was a routine. I turned off the footage and sat on the couch. The couch I bought for our 7th anniversary. The one she said was too big for the room, but kept anyway because it made her feel safe. Safe. That word echoed around the room like an insult. Safe for her. Not for me. People say when you catch your spouse cheating, it's like your world falls apart. That wasn't true for me. My world didn't fall. It sharpened. Turns out, betrayal doesn't feel like thunder or fire. It feels like math. 1 part hallway footage. 1 part unknown man. And now, thanks to my daughter's bedtime honesty, a new variable. Emily, bless her heart, doesn't understand subtlety. One evening, as I tucked her in, she looked at me and whispered, "Daddy, why doesn't Mommy laugh with you like she laughs with the uncle?" I smiled and kissed her forehead. "Good night, kiddo." That was all the confession I needed. Now, to be clear, I didn't confront Lauren. No shouting. No drama. You never tip your hand when the other player still thinks you're bluffing. I'd read enough courtroom thrillers to know. Evidence wins. Emotion ruins. So I got to work. First, I hired a private investigator. His name was Tom. Looked like he'd been divorced 3 times and won every settlement. Within 5 days, Tom delivered. Photos. Times. license plates, schedules, even a receipt from a hotel 2 towns over. Lauren checked in with Mr. Baseball Cap under the name L. Miles. Miles. Her maiden name. Cute. I went through every file like an accountant checking for fraud, because that's exactly what it was. Fraud of the heart. Fraud of the family. And she wasn't just two-timing me. She was full-time acting. Loving wife by day. Secret girlfriend by lunch. Back in time to ask if we had milk. Tom confirmed the guy's name. Jeremy. Divorced. No kids. Worked in sales, which explains the fake charm and rented SUV. Apparently, Jeremy was quite the hit with weekend yoga moms. I guess Lauren thought she was starring in a rom-com instead of a marriage. But here's the part that hit harder than anything. Emily had drawn a picture. It was taped to the fridge. 3 people holding hands. Mommy, Emily, and Uncle Ja. The caption, written in that half-backward kindergarten scrawl, read, "Me and Mommy and Uncle Ja go to get ice cream. Not Daddy. Not us. Not our family." I stared at that drawing longer than I care to admit. My daughter, 5 years old, had unknowingly chronicled her mother's betrayal better than any court report. It was no longer just about me. Lauren had broken our daughter's trust. And that, my friend, is when forgiveness packed up and left the building. By this point, I wasn't a husband anymore. I was a strategist. And Lauren? She wasn't my wife. She was a case study in overconfidence. Most men rush in with fists or fury. I chose invitations. See, I had a plan, a little soiree I called family evening. Not the kind with board games and pot roast. This one would feature a cast of characters. My mother, her mother, Emily's kindergarten teacher, our family counselor, surprise, she'd been in on this since week 2, and a neighbor or 2 for flavor. You know, people who had a front row seat to the marriage she was quietly torching. But first, I needed a confession. So I played the long game. Kept being me. Took Lauren on a date. Flowers. Her favorite wine. Even let her think I was the one trying to save us. She bought it. Of course she did. Cheaters always think they're the smartest one in the room. But deep down, she knew something was off. She started being nice. Not, "I love you" nice. "I'm afraid the house is bugged" nice. Which, to be fair, it sort of was. I'd slipped a recording app onto the tablet we let Emily use. That way when Lauren was home alone, FaceTiming Jeremy, whispering on phone calls, or venting to her best friend, I had receipts. And buddy, let me tell you, the recordings made HBO look like Saturday morning cartoons. Nothing graphic, but the emotional betrayal? The snickering, the inside jokes, the he'd never understand comments? Yeah, I understood plenty. She told Jeremy she felt trapped in her life. Said I was emotionally dull. That I stopped being romantic. That was rich, considering I once planned a surprise vacation for our anniversary and she had a headache the entire trip. Jeremy, the walking cliché, told her she deserved passion. Real original. I half expected him to start quoting The Notebook. Now, here's where things got fun. I started planting little breadcrumbs. I set Lauren's phone to auto-upload photos to a dummy cloud folder. Forwarded hotel receipts to a secret email account I had her mom's address connected to. Mailed a copy of Emily's drawing, the Uncle Jim masterpiece, to our family counselor with a note. This is what she thinks is normal. By the time the invites went out for family evening, I wasn't planning a reveal. I was preparing a surgical strike. Lauren, bless her oblivious heart, thought it was a family celebration. I told her we'd gathered people to talk about rebuilding connections. Even baked a casserole, which I let her think was her idea. The woman was decorating her own guillotine and smiling while she did it. Friday night rolled around like thunder. I wore a button-up. She wore that lavender blouse she saves for moments when she wants to look innocent. Emily wore pajamas with ducks on them and didn't realize she was the most honest soul in the room. Guests arrived one by one. My mother, seated first. I sent her stare and a Bible in her purse. Her mother, skeptical but suspicious. Miss Clayton, the kindergarten teacher, fresh from parent-teacher conferences and packing more truth than anyone realized. Carol, our neighbor, who once caught Lauren hugging Jeremy by his car, but thought it was her cousin. And finally, Claire, our family counselor, sipping tea like she knew this would be her favorite session yet. Lauren greeted everyone like a queen, unaware her crown was about to melt. "What's the occasion?" she asked, her voice honey-sweet. I stood, cleared my throat, looked around. "I want to thank you all for being here. Tonight's about truth, about honesty, and about what our daughter thinks family looks like." Lauren smiled nervously. "What do you mean?" I walked over to the fridge and removed the drawing. Held it up. This, I said, is what Emily sees. Her mother, and Uncle Ja. The silence that followed? Palpable, like the air had been vacuumed out of the room. Lauren paled. My mother's mouth tightened into a line so thin it could slice granite. Her mother looked confused. Miss Clayton nodded. Yes, she said softly. Emily's mentioned Uncle Ja a few times during school. We were planning to bring it up at next month's conference. Lauren opened her mouth to speak, but words failed her. I took no joy in her struggle, but I also didn't step in to save her. I know, I continued. About the hotel rooms. The lies. The phone calls. I know everything. And tonight, so will everyone else. Her mother gasped. My mother exhaled like she'd been holding it for 20 years. Carol? She just sipped her wine and looked at the ceiling, as if to say, finally, someone said it. Claire, the counselor, reached into her bag and pulled out a file folder. We've been documenting Emily's emotional confusion for weeks, she said. She's internalizing the shift in the household dynamic, especially the tension she doesn't understand. Lauren's voice finally cracked through. This is an ambush. No, I said calmly. This is an intervention. For your soul. For your daughter. And for every person who's trusted you and gotten burned. She looked at her mom for backup, but that backup wasn't coming. Her mother was trembling. Lauren, is this true? Lauren didn't answer. Didn't have to. Her silence was a signed confession. I stood up again. Tonight isn't about begging or bargaining. It's about Emily. She deserves better. So do all of you. I pulled a white envelope from my coat. These are divorce papers. Pre-signed by me. You'll find your name already filled in. I suggest you read them. She didn't take the envelope. Just stared at it like it was made of poison. Then I walked to Emily's room, kissed her goodnight, and let the rest of them sit in the stew she'd been simmering for months. The moment I closed Emily's door, the hush in the living room shattered. Voices rose like a choir of stunned disappointment, layered, awkward, sharp. It wasn't rage. Not yet. But the kind of stunned air you get when people realize they've been extras in a drama they didn't know they were cast in. I walked back in calmly. Lauren hadn't moved. Still frozen on the couch, envelope untouched on her lap like it might bite her if she blinked. Carol, bless her bluntness, was the first to speak. So she said, lifting an eyebrow, that's the guy I saw hugging you by his car. Lauren's head jerked toward her. Carol, I told you that was it. Your cousin, Carol interrupted, voice dry enough to sandwich. Yup, I remember. So which side of the family is Uncle Ja from? The one that checks into the Sheraton under fake names. My mother, who hadn't said a word up to this point, finally chimed in. You swore in front of God when you married my son. If you were going to be unfaithful, you should have done it with some dignity. Lauren blinked at her, almost offended. This isn't your marriage. It was never just yours, her mother shot back, louder than anyone expected. You made vows. In front of both families. What am I supposed to say to my friends at Bridge Club when this gets out? That my daughter ran around with some door-to-door sales boy while her husband played house with her lies. Lauren stood now, shaking, but not in fear panic. The room had turned on her, and she knew it. This is a setup, she said. You all came here just to shame me, to drag me through the mud in front of strangers. Strangers? Claire, the counselor, raised her eyebrows. That's rich. Your daughter's teacher, your mother, your mother-in-law, your neighbor, and a licensed family therapist. That's a strange little circle you've burned, Lauren. She started to cry then. Not a flood, more like the faucet got stuck halfway. It was a mistake, she whispered. It wasn't serious. I felt invisible. I felt alone. And there it was. The classic refrain. The anthem of the guilty. I didn't mean to. I just felt. I leaned against the wall. Calm. Hands in pockets. Watching the unraveling. Let me ask you something, I said. Was Emily invisible too? She looked up, startled. What? You weren't just cheating on me. You were building a bond with another man in front of our daughter. You told her it was okay. That secrets were normal. That laughs without explanation were fine. She didn't understand. Lauren snapped. No, I said. You didn't. Miss Clayton, quiet till now, pulled a paper from her purse. This is a report I hadn't planned to share until our next meeting, she said, passing it across the table. Emily's begun drawing families with 3 figures, not 4. And when we ask her about her dad, she just says, Daddy's busy. Lauren covered her mouth. Claire followed up immediately. This kind of emotional distancing is an early defense mechanism. Children compartmentalize. Your daughter is beginning to rewrite reality so she doesn't have to feel conflicted. And there it was, the real cost. Not just the betrayal. Not the lies, the hotels, the phone calls behind closed doors. The cost was a 5-year-old girl quietly rewriting her world to make it less painful. Look, Lauren stammered. I'll cut it off. I'll end things with Jeremy. I didn't think it would go this far. I took a slow step forward. You ended things the moment you let someone else in. There's no cutting off what you've already poisoned. She dropped to the couch. Her shoulders crumbled in on themselves. Her mother, ever the image of denial until it's too late, gave a defeated sigh. I raised you better than this. My mother crossed her legs. We all did. The room went silent again, but now it wasn't shock, it was finality. The kind of hush that settles in after a battle, when even the walls stop echoing and everyone just breathes the same shared regret. I broke the silence. I'm not here to negotiate. I'm not here to rage. You're going to sign those papers, Lauren. And you're going to do it without dragging Emily through more of your mess. She looked up at me then, tear-streaked but defiant. You think this makes you noble? Exposing me in front of everyone? I smiled, cold and clean. I think it makes me a father who finally acted like one. No one clapped. No one needed to. The point wasn't applause. It was clarity. The kind that doesn't come with volume, but with stillness. Lauren sat there, breathing shallow. Then, slowly, she opened the envelope. And I walked away again, this time not to tuck anyone in, but to finally reclaim the piece of me that had been slowly eroded by years of smiling through suspicion. The morning after family evening was oddly peaceful. Not joyful, just still. Like the air after a long storm, when everything's been flattened, and the birds haven't dared to start singing again. Lauren slept on the couch. At least I think she did. I didn't check. I'd gone to bed early with Emily curled up beside me, her tiny hand clutching my arm like she was the only person left who still believed in me. Maybe she was. At 7 a.m. sharp, I brewed coffee and opened my laptop. See, betrayal is personal, but consequences should be professional. I wasn't interested in yelling matches or public meltdowns. I didn't want revenge that looked like revenge. I wanted accountability, the kind that dresses in a 3-piece suit and walks into a courtroom with receipts. First stop? The lawyer. I'd already met with her twice, months ago. Once when I suspected, and once when I knew. This time, I had evidence, a manila folder full of it, neatly tabbed. Hotel receipts. Audio files. Text message screenshots. And, just for flair, a copy of Emily's Uncle Joe drawing. The lawyer flipped through the stack like she was skimming a restaurant menu. Well, she said, this makes my job easy. Good, I replied. Because I want this done clean. No custody tug-of-wars. No drawn-out drama. Just truth on paper. She nodded. And the house. I want it. For Emily. And alimony? I smiled. Let her keep her money. She's going to need it. Jeremy doesn't exactly scream provider. The next step was financial. Lauren didn't know it yet, but I'd already frozen our joint accounts. She wouldn't notice until she tried to buy something she didn't need, which, based on recent behavior, was usually around lunchtime. By 10:30 a.m., I got a text. Lauren, why is the bank saying our card is declined? I was at the pharmacy. I stared at it for a second, then typed. Me, because you're no longer part of the hour in that sentence. No reply. That was fine. Next, I called Jeremy's employer. Did I stoop to pettiness? No. I just asked a few questions, as a concerned citizen, about whether they were aware one of their regional sales reps was frequently checking into hotels during working hours. I even mentioned that I had photos. No threats. Just curiosity. 30 minutes later, Jeremy's LinkedIn profile mysteriously went private. By noon, Lauren came upstairs to talk. She stood in the doorway, eyes puffy and hair undone, wearing one of my old t-shirts like it might make me nostalgic. It didn't. You froze the accounts. I nodded. That's correct. I needed things from the pharmacy. There's a drawer of ibuprofen and enough bandages to patch a circus elephant. You'll survive. She stepped further in. You're really doing this? I turned to her slowly. You had a chance to not do this. Multiple chances. You picked lies every time. Her lip trembled, but I was past the point where that mattered. It wasn't supposed to go this far, she whispered. Neither was our marriage, I said. And yet, here we are. She sat down on the edge of the bed, uninvited. I was going to end it. With him. But you didn't. I didn't know how. That line right there? That was the final nail. You knew how to sneak out. You knew how to book hotels. You knew how to lie to my face while holding our daughter's hand. Don't insult both of us now by pretending you were powerless." She looked at me like I'd hit her. But I hadn't. Not once. I just told the truth. And truth has a better right hook than most fists. She started crying. I let her. Because crocodile tears don't get tissues anymore. "You don't understand," she choked out. "Jeremy made me feel alive again." That was it. That was the line. The final performance in the one-woman show of justification. I stood, walked to the door, held it open. "I hope he makes you feel alive while you're looking for a new apartment." She looked up, stunned. "You're kicking me out?" I nodded. "You've got until Friday." "And Emily?" "Stays here. With me. With stability. I'm her mother. And I'm her example." With that, she left the room. And I didn't stop her. I just stood there, staring at the spot she'd been sitting, wondering how I'd let it all unravel without noticing the threads had started fraying. Later that day, I picked Emily up from school. We got ice cream. Just the two of us. She didn't ask where Mommy was. That, more than anything, told me I was doing the right thing. As she licked her cone and giggled when it dripped onto her fingers, I made a silent promise. "I won't lie to you. I won't fail you. And I won't let you grow up thinking this is what love looks like." Lauren didn't leave quietly. Friday came, and she hadn't packed a thing. Just shuffled from room to room like a ghost that forgot what it was haunting. "I need more time," she said. "You had 6 months," I replied. "You used them to build a fantasy life with a man who wears discount cologne and lies about his sales quota." She tried the legal route, filed a motion for temporary custody and spousal support, claimed I was emotionally unstable, vindictive, and, get this, manipulative. She submitted her claims on Monday. On Tuesday, my lawyer submitted a flash drive. It included video evidence from our hallway camera showing Jeremy entering the house during my work hours, audio recordings of her planning hotel trips while I was with Emily, testimony from our neighbor Carol, who gladly volunteered to write an affidavit after Lauren once called her nosy. Oh, and my personal favorite, a letter from Miss Clayton, Emily's kindergarten teacher, detailing the emotional confusion Emily displayed when talking about Uncle Joe. Lauren's motion was denied within 72 hours. Judge said the word parental alienation with the kind of disgust usually reserved for mold or war crimes. She started texting me again, trying to switch tones. "We can still fix this. You were my safe place. Jeremy's not even in the picture anymore." I ignored her. I didn't need her to suffer. I just needed her gone. And by Friday, she finally left. She moved into a one-bedroom apartment across town. Jeremy was, apparently, not ready to play stepdad. Shocker. Lauren went from co-parent to visitor. And I went from doormat to door slamming the past shut. The story could have ended there. But it didn't. Because Lauren underestimated two things: how fast word spreads in a small community, and how quickly karma gathers interest. Jeremy lost his job. Turns out his company didn't love employees falsifying location data and knocking boots during billable hours. Worse, word got to Jeremy's ex-wife. She filed for full custody of their kid. Jeremy went from suave side piece to unemployed defendant. Lauren tried to spin it, claimed she was reclaiming her independence. She even started a blog, Healing After Betrayal, where she wrote long posts about emotional gaslighting and surviving a toxic spouse. Someone eventually sent me the link. I read exactly one paragraph before closing the browser. I had better things to do, like take Emily to soccer and teach her how to ride a bike without training wheels. Real life, not blog fiction. But then came the reunion, not between Lauren and me. That ship had not only sailed, it had sunk, been looted by pirates, and turned into a reef. No, I'm talking about Lauren and her reputation. The school held a parents' event one Friday evening, family night. And Lauren showed up, hair straightened, earrings big enough to pick up satellite signals. That tight smile cheaters wear when they still think there's a crowd rooting for them. She walked toward us like nothing had happened. "Hey, Emily," she chirped, arms wide. Emily clutched my hand tighter. Lauren crouched to her eye level. "Aren't you happy to see me?" Emily looked up at me. "Can we go play, Dad?" Lauren froze. Her arms dropped. I didn't say a word, just nodded and walked with my daughter toward the field. That moment right there, that was the revenge. No fireworks, no slaps, no courtroom showdown. Just a child showing, in one instinctual second, who she trusted and who she no longer recognized. By autumn, things were quiet. Lauren tried to rebuild. She reached out a few times, asking to talk. I responded through my lawyer. She started dating again, or pretending to. I didn't care. My only concern was our daughter. I had full legal custody by then. She had visitation, supervised at first. Emily wasn't excited about those visits. Sometimes she asked if we could skip Mommy Day. I never said no, but I always made sure she knew she had a choice. It was around Thanksgiving when Lauren crossed the final line. She brought Jeremy to a visitation drop-off. Emily didn't recognize him. Just looked at him, confused. "Is that the ice cream uncle?" she asked. That was it. I filed to restrict Lauren's visitation until she could prove she wouldn't involve external romantic partners again. She fought it, briefly. Then her lawyer dropped her. I won. Again. That's when I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. The fury that had driven me, sharpened me, kept me awake at night, it was gone. Replaced by something colder. Cleaner. Peace. It comes not when justice is served, but when you've lived well in spite of what was done to you. A year later, I got a letter. Handwritten. From Lauren. It started with, "I'm sorry," and ended with, "I wish I could undo it." She admitted everything. The affair. The lies. The attempts to play victim. Even the way she'd used Emily to make herself feel needed. She said she was in therapy now. Trying to heal. Not just from the divorce, but from herself. I read the letter once. Then I filed it in the cabinet under D for Don. The truth is, there's no single act of revenge that can fix betrayal. There's only the life you build afterward. I didn't burn her clothes. I didn't key her car. I didn't smash windows or scream in parking lots. I did something worse. I outlived her damage. Emily and I? We're good. Really good. I coach her soccer team now. She's funny, she's smart, and she laughs the way kids should, loud and full of life. Sometimes, she even says, "Daddy, I want to marry someone like you." And that's it. That's the final move. Because no matter how many lies someone tells, no matter how badly they break your trust, if your child chooses your truth over their fiction, you win. Every time.